Hello, this is Ruth Hollingshead, trustee for Sight for Wight, welcoming you to this week's Talking News.
Sight for Wight Talking News for Friday the 8th of May 2020.
This is Chris reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press headed "Some Were Blind, Others Had Awful Injuries. Mo, 97, remembers World War II in the Solent." One sprightly Isle of Wight pensioner sung "We'll Meet Again" yesterday, looking out across the Solent towards her old base in Gosport. Monica Wickenden, 97, will be celebrating VE Day from her home in Ryde and remembers vividly the joy she felt at the end of the war in Europe. Monica, or Mo to her friends and family, joined the Women's Royal Naval Service in 1944, aged 21, and was stationed in HMS Hornet in Gosport. She lived in a converted private house taken over by the Admiralty in Fort Road, Alverstoke. One of 10 children, she came originally from Wallasey in Merseyside, Cheshire. The family, who had a makeshift shelter in the garden, regularly came a whisker from death as German bombs fell. The carnage was indescribable. Whole roads had just vanished, said Monica. As soon as she arrived at Gosport, she was given a bicycle to get to work, despite never having learnt to ride one. She remembers going to a converted children's home to care for men wounded in action. "I saw many sad cases," said Monica. "We were asked to sit and chat with the wounded men or write letters to their loved ones. Some were blind, others had awful injuries." On one occasion, a V1 bomb came close to hitting her quarters, but ended in the Solent instead. She was heartbroken when she heard her brother Paul, a sergeant in the RAF, was killed in 1940. When it was announced that the war was over, Monica was with her sister, Dolores, a member of the Auxiliary Territorial Service, who was visiting. "Oh, we were so excited. We were wearing each other's hats and shouting, 'The war's over, hooray!'" said Monica. She stayed on in Gosport after the war and in 1948 joined troop ship the Empress of Australia en route to Malta. There she met her husband, John Wickenden, who was in the Royal Navy. Back in the UK, after demobilisation, they married in 1951 and had 38 happy years together. John died not long after they moved to the Isle of Wight in 1988. Monica has one son, Paul, who lives in Plymouth, and 2 grandchildren. Our thanks go to Peter Gruner for sending us this story.
This is Howard Thomas reading an article from OnTheWight about a new dedicated app to support social care workers, the first of its kind. A new dedicated app for those working in adult social care in England has been launched to support staff on the go through the coronavirus pandemic. The social care workforce is spread across 18,000 providers, and it can often be difficult to communicate with all staff in one clear way. The Care Workforce app, developed with NHSX and the NHS Business Services Authority, will be introduced under the new Care brand and will act as a single digital hub for social care workers to access relevant updates, guidance, support and discounts from their phone. The Care branded app comes in response to calls from the sector for a more unified and connecting brand and can be downloaded on Apple and Android supported smartphones or accessed by browsers on any device. New mental well-being guidance will soon be published to further support the care sector with bespoke advice for care workers. This guidance will be signposted on the Care Workforce app when available. The tool will be the first of its kind provided for the care workforce and will A. act as a single one-stop shop, providing the sector with all the latest guidance, well-being support and advice they need to protect themselves from COVID-19 and keep themselves well. B. Provide access to learning resources on crucial areas such as infection control, as well as practical advice and support for mental well-being. C. Show how care workers can take advantage of offers available to NHS and social care staff, including free car parking and discounts through organisations and initiatives like Discounts for Carers and the Blue Light Card. D. Signpost free access to apps like SilverCloud, Daylight and Sleepio, which can help boost users' mental well-being through programs covering sleep, stress and resilience. The app will be available to download on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, as well as being accessible online.
This is Den Scott. This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Missing person appeal to find 32-year-old Charlotte Mullen. On Thursday, police put out an appeal to locate a 32-year-old woman missing from the Sandown area. A spokesperson from the Isle of Wight Police said, "We are appealing for the public's help to locate 32-year-old Charlotte Mullen, who has gone missing from the Sandown area. Charlotte was last seen yesterday afternoon, May the 6th, at around 4:45 p.m. in the Brading area. When seen, Charlotte was wearing dark blue trousers, black socks but no shoes, a white knitted top and a black zip-up hoodie with a pink-lined hood. She is described as being about 5 feet 5 inches tall, of slim build, with long dyed red hair, which is normally in a bun. The roots of her hair are showing, which are brown. Charlotte also has a small scar on her forehead above her right eye. Her family and police are growing increasingly concerned for her welfare. Officers will be calling on addresses to check gardens and outbuildings. Volunteers from Wight Search and Rescue are assisting with the search. If you have seen Charlotte or know of her whereabouts, please get in touch by calling 101 and quoting reference 44200160643. A police helicopter has been spotted conducting a search of the Sandown area. Ventnor and Bembridge Coast Guard research teams, as well as Sandown RNLI and Bembridge RNLI, have all been tasked to assist Hampshire Police with the search.
This is Sue Rutherford reading from an article from the Isle of Wight County Press headed "From World Record Speed to Sedate Life as a Cricket Scorer." For many years, Fiona Newnham has been scoring for Ventnor Cricket Club and is currently the first team manager. She has sat in score boxes all around the south of England and even at Lord's. It would be fascinating to know how many of the opposition scorers actually realise they were sat next to Fiona Brothers, a former world record holder. On water, she was once the fastest woman on earth in her inshore powerboat. Her top speed was 130 miles per hour. On first meeting Fiona back in 1992, I quickly realised how lucky I was to be in her company. She'd had a horrendous accident at Bodymore Heath Water near Birmingham in 1983 and was extremely lucky not to lose her life. Powerboating was a dangerous sport and 6 of her contemporaries did not have the same good fortune. Inshore powerboat racing all began when Fiona and her younger brother bought a Class 3 boat with a 850cc engine for weekend fun in their home county of Gloucestershire, away from their stressful day jobs in London. They entered local competitions just for the pure enjoyment of it all. At the end of that season, they had both qualified for licences to race anywhere in Britain. That did create one major problem. However, as Fiona explained, it was really crunch time and we couldn't afford 2 boats. He could never quite go as fast as I could, mainly because he was heavier than me, and that makes quite a difference. He'd also just got married. That was in 1979. In the following year, Fiona raced in the intermediate class. In 1981, Fiona was racing on the World F1 circuit, Was she a natural racer? No, not really, but I was quite logical and could work things out, Fiona adds. When you got into it, there was no doubt it was mostly seat of pants time. You also raced by instinct, and that was the only way you could win. Fiona could often beat the opposition before they even got into the water. She was gifted at being able to psych the others up and was such a fierce competitor. Often the boats were just a few feet apart, unlike the seagoing variety. It was not a glamorous sport, and finding sponsors was such a necessity, but she did have some luck with major companies. After a racing weekend, it was back to being a food buyer for Marks and Spencer's at its head office. She bought dairy, produce and fresh meat and, at one time, had a weekly budget of £1 million for nationwide distribution. For Fiona, 1981 was especially memorable because she set a world record on a stretch of water near Nottingham. She was representing England that weekend and the racing finished on the bank holiday Monday. The other competitors went out for drinks to celebrate, but she went to bed early, as the following morning at 5 a.m. she was going for a world record. She broke it with an average speed of 116.72 miles per hour. This went unbroken for 10 years, and even Sir Donald Campbell's daughter Gina failed in several attempts. The following year, Fiona, who was the only lady qualified to race in F1 World Inshore Powerboat Racing, was in with a real chance of becoming the world champion. 4 of them were in the running. She fancied her chances against the 3 men. It was on the River Seine in Paris. The winner would clinch it. Fiona was going well in the heats in the final event of the season, but it was not to be, and a breakdown put her out of the competition. It was still a great year, and she had the bonus of marrying an islander. She had known Keith Newnham many years earlier, but they met up again in 1981 on the Isle of Wight. Sadly, Keith, one of the nicest guys you could ever wish to meet, died in 2018. He did such a lot, both for Ventnor Cricket Club and Ventnor Football Club. In 1983, at Bodymoor Heath, Fiona won the first heat of the championship, but she had a slow start to the second race. I had to quickly overtake the rest of the field and was very close to the speeding boat of Jonathan Jones, who later became a world champion, explained Fiona. His boat started to lift and cartwheel, and once that happens, all the air around your boat gets displaced, and mine went after him. I did a pancake roll and the boat landed upside down with me in it. That's all I could remember. Fiona fractured her skull and fragments of the bone cut the nerves to her face. She was unconscious for 36 hours. Luckily, she was treated by a specialist in nerve disorders in Zurich, and eventually she made a good recovery and overcame speech problems. Fiona was back racing 4 months later, but now in hindsight, she admits it was too soon. She did go for 1 more season before she decided to retire. In more recent years, Fiona has become famous as a cricket scorer, the highlight being when she scored for South Africa at Lord's in a one-day international against England. Fiona's name as a scorer for South Africa on the Lord's scoreboard. When watching Ventnor play a Southern League match at New Close, I marvelled at her skills. Fiona found time to beautifully record the details in the scorebook, acknowledge the umpire signals, update the ground's electronic scoreboard, answer phone calls from the press and update the scores on the Ventnor website. I was once told when she was driving the Ventnor team minibus she drove over her precious laptop. I've never been brave enough to ask if this was true. I do know she drives rather quickly when trying to get the Red Funnel car ferry back after a mainland match. Apparently Fiona, who retired from the island's NHS Trust in 2019, has had to learn all about gardening since Keith died. Just between us, she thought she had a lovely gladioli in her newly weeded flower bed, but only to find out it was a wild onion.
This is Brian Amy reading a letter from the Isle of Wight County Press headed Still Stay Safe from Angela Burton, Newport. I've been keeping a diary since the start of this pandemic, really because things were changing every day and I knew I wouldn't remember exactly what happened. There have been rumours for a few days that the Isle of Wight was going to be used as a trial to end lockdown before they roll it out to the rest of the country. Often on the daily updates, the ministers were asked what the exit plan is, and they always said they didn't have one. I think that maybe they did, but are only telling us now what the plan is. They have, in the last few weeks, installed extra wards and beds at St Mary's Hospital and set up refrigerated units at the crematorium to be used as mortuaries. They have tested drones to drop medical supplies and Chinook helicopters to airlift patients to the mainland. Yet the number of cases on the Isle of Wight is very low, only 122. The percentage of those who have died after being infected is very high, sadly 29 of the 122. They say there are different strains of the coronavirus around, so maybe the strain that is here is a particularly bad one. Now they've announced that the rumours are true and the Isle of Wight is going to be used as a test area for the trials from next week. The phone app will only tell you when you've been in contact with someone who already has it. It is too late then. It won't warn you before you get it. There is as yet no treatment or cure. Download the app if you want to take part in the trials, but don't think that life will go back to normal. The virus is only dormant because we are all staying indoors and not allowing it to spread. If we come out of isolation, the virus will spread like wildfire and the Isle of Wight will be devastated, cut off as it is from the mainland. We can only stop the virus by not allowing it to spread, so do not give up any of the protections that we have been practicing.
This is Chris Amy reading a letter from the Isle of Wight County Press, headed, "Here's the good news. The Isle of Wight is doing great," from Tim Devlin of Cowes. Your letters page reveals a worrying vein of cynicism and negativity on this island. Our MP is slated for making a sensible suggestion: read the Track and Trace app, given it is an island with few cases. The ferry bosses are accused of bringing tourists in to prop up their salaries, when they have demonstrably put the public health ahead of profits and so on. Let me give your readers some good news. Broadband here is fantastic compared to large parts of the UK. Instead of travelling, I have been able to keep in touch with all sorts of people by Teams, Skype, Starleaf and Zoom. So much so that we can socialise online. Here in Cowes, the Island Sailing Club has managed to set up virtual yacht racing for those unable to get out on their boats, and at-home deliveries for those unable to dine in the club. This service is also available to non-members at the usual non-members differential price. More good news. The rubbish and recycling service has been excellent during the shutdown and never missed a beat. True, the dumps have been closed and we have all had time to declutter our houses, so we can expect them to be busy when they reopen. London and the South East have not been able to maintain the same level of service. Look in the water and the sky. We have had weeks of sunny weather and the sea has never been so clear. People are remarking on the bird song they can hear without the hum of distant traffic. Lastly, people have been sensible on the island. In any group of humans, a few will not comply with social norms, but that is true of anywhere at any time. We must not waste this pause in our lives. It is a golden opportunity to do things differently and to do the things we never get round to. When we look back on these months in years to come, we are each bound to think, I wish I had used that time to do such and such. If so, get on with it now.
This is Howard Thomas reading an article from Guide Dog News about buddy dogs. The buddy dog service from Guide Dogs is for children with sight loss and their families. Buddy Dogs is now open in the southwest and is currently open to applications of interest in the following locations: Dorset, Wiltshire, Hampshire, Isle of Wight and the Channel Islands. Our buddy dogs can have a hugely positive effect on a child's well-being and their family too. They can help to develop a child's self-confidence, improve relationships and build a greater sense of trust. We're running buddy dog discovery sessions via webinar for parents and carers who would like to find out more. These engaging and informative online sessions will give parents and carers the opportunity to learn more about the service and put their questions to our experts. Our next webinars will be taking place on 12th of May at 10:20 a.m, 19th of May at 6 p.m, and 26th of May at 10:20 a.m, lasting for approximately 3 hours. Attendance is only needed at 1. To book a place on one of these sessions, parents, carers can contact our advice line on 0800 781 1444. Full instructions of how to access the webinar will be provided. Please note, for those who choose to continue their application after the webinar, we hope to hold face-to-face sessions later in the year at our Midlands Regional Centre in Leamington or at our Redbridge Centre, subject to government advice. It's essential that applicants are able to commit to attending one of these sessions. The Buddy Dog service is also currently available in the Midlands, Scotland, Northern Ireland and the South East. Please forward this information to any families of children with sight loss who you feel may be interested in applying or finding out more about this service. They should contact the advice line directly on 0800 781 1444. Please feel free to contact me or the advice line should you wish to discuss this service further. You can also find out more on our webpage www.guidedogs.org.uk/services-we-provide/dogs-for-children.
This is Jacqueline Gazzard, trustee at Sight for Wight. Could you clear out clothes for charity? We all have outfits in the wardrobe we simply won't wear, and many have time right now to clear them out, bag them up, and we hope donate them to Dress for Less, the sister organisation of Sight for Wight. Cocktail and wedding frocks, posh prom or ball gowns and tea dresses, evening bags gathering dust at the back of the cupboard, scarves, shirts, even suits. If you don't think you'll get any further wear out of them, then please help our cause without spending a penny, and we'll come and collect them if you get in touch. What we need for you to do is collect up to 6 outfits and bag them up. Then let us know via the Sight for Wight or Dress for Less Facebook Messenger and say you're ready for us to come and collect. We'll need a name, an address with a postcode for collection, and if you'd like to stay in touch and aren't already in touch with us, please add an email address you're happy for us to put on the database. Thank you.
This is Alison Holbrook, reading from the Sight for Wight newsletter. All clubs and activities are currently on hold, but please ring Sight for Wight on 522205 if you are interested in joining any of the groups, and we can keep you updated. Ride Swimming Group. Our swimming group meets every Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. till 8:45 p.m. at the Waterside Pool in Ryde. They have exclusive use of the pool during this session. The group is open to any visually impaired person who is a keen swimmer or who just enjoys being in the water. The pool's lifeguards are in attendance during the session. Pre-registering with Sight for Wight is essential, otherwise you may be refused admittance. The cost is £5 to swim. West Wight Swimming Group. On the third Wednesday of each month, members joined the West Wight Swimming Pool Special Care Session. This runs from 12 noon till 1 p.m. The pool temperature is raised and extra staff are on hand to offer assistance. The pool's lifeguards are in attendance during the session. The cost is £4.20 to swim. Wednesday Coffee Morning. We hold a coffee morning each week on a Wednesday at Millbrook House from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. All are welcome to join us for a cup of tea or coffee and cake. The cost is £1 and the group is open to all, not just members. On the first Wednesday of each month, we are joined by the Macular Society for their monthly meet-up. Wednesday Low Vision Drop-In. Every Wednesday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m, we hold a low vision drop-in session. This coincides with the coffee morning and allows you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at Sight for Wight without the need for an appointment. If this time is not suitable for you, then you are welcome to call us to make an appointment to view our low vision equipment. Thursday Social Group. The Thursday Social Group meets every week from 10:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Millbrook House, where they engage with other visually impaired people. They socialise and enjoy lunch together. In the afternoon, the group welcome volunteers who come in to read from various books. The weekly cost to join the group is £3. God's Hill Coffee Morning. The God's Hill Coffee Morning is held fortnightly at the Old Smithy Coffee Shop in God's Hill from 10:30 a.m. till 11:45 a.m. Refreshments are available to purchase direct from the coffee shop. If you would like more information, please call Laura on 01983 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Monthly Book Group. Sight for Wight hold a book group on the second Wednesday of each month at the Lord Louis Library in Newport. The group runs from 2 p.m. for about an hour. We discuss the last month's book and then hand out the book for the next month. Books are available on USB stick or CD. Refreshments are provided and guide dogs are welcome. There is no charge to join the book group. If you would like more information, please call Laura on 01983 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Sing About. On the first Wednesday of the month, members join the Wootton Sing About session, which is run by Independent Arts. Sing About is a social singing activity which can help improve memory, breathing and confidence. It is a great opportunity to meet new people and all are welcome. The session runs from 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. at St Mark's Church. Refreshments are provided. There is no cost for the session, although donations to Independent Arts are appreciated. Strollers. Strollers meet on the second Tuesday of the month. They go for gentle strolls, enjoying the countryside or coastal views. This is followed by lunch at a pub or restaurant. The group is open to all visually impaired people who like a leisurely walk of about a mile. The cost to walk with the group is £3. Striders. Striders meet on the last Friday of every month. They walk on different routes around the island and then finish off with lunch at a local pub or restaurant. This group is open to all visually impaired people who like longer walks in the countryside. The cost to walk with the group is £3. Golf. The golfers meet once a month on a Sunday morning at Westridge Golf Club Ryde. The group go onto the driving ranges and out onto the course. An instructor is available to help out beginners. The golf session lasts about an hour and is followed by refreshments and a chat in the cafe. Transport may be available to some of the groups. A donation for the minibus is £2. If you are interested in joining any of the activities when they restart, please contact Sight for Wight for more information on 01983 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
This is Brian Amy reading an article from the Sight for Wight newsletter headed Letter from the Chair of Trustees, Sue Bungay. After 3 years at Sight for Wight, Isle of Wight Society for the Blind, Chief Executive Miriam Tong is leaving to pursue other interests. Isle of Wight Society for the Blind wishes Miriam all the best for her future. In the light of Miriam's departure, we are excited to announce the appointment of our new interim CEO, who will be known to many of you already, Lisa Holyhead. Lisa joined the charity in January 2018 as our finance officer, and during her 2 years with us has made huge strides forward in her role. So we are delighted she has accepted this interim role whilst we advertise for Miriam's successor as CEO. Lisa, herself registered severely sight impaired since birth, is a qualified chartered accountant, and having run her own 2 Isle of Wight businesses, we know she will prove a great asset to the charity.
This is Chris Amy reading an article from the Sight for Wight newsletter headed Supper Club. Easy white bread recipe. This recipe can be used in an electric bread maker if you have one, or do it the traditional way. The ingredients: 500 grams of strong white flour plus extra for dusting, 2 teaspoons of salt, a 7-gram sachet of fast action yeast, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 300 millilitres of water. The method: mix the flour, salt and yeast in a large bowl. Make a well in the centre, then add the olive oil and water and mix well. If the dough seems a little stiff, add another 1 to 2 tablespoons of water and mix well. Tip onto a lightly floured work surface and knead for around 10 minutes. Once the dough is smooth, place it in a lightly oiled bowl and cover with cling film. Leave to rise for an hour until doubled in size. Alternatively, you can place it in the fridge overnight. Knock back the dough, punch the air out and pull the dough in on itself, then gently mould the dough into a ball. Place it onto a baking tray lined with baking parchment to prove for a further hour until doubled in size. Heat the oven to 220 degrees centigrade or fan 200 degrees or gas mark 7. Dust the loaf with some extra flour and cut across about 6 centimetres along into the top of the loaf with a sharp knife. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown and the loaf sounds hollow when tapped underneath. Cool it on a wire rack and then enjoy it.
This is Howard Thomas reading from the Sight for Wight newsletter with a message from the team. Hello from the whole team at Sight for Wight. During this difficult time, we've pulled together to write our hello from us all. For the safety of all staff, volunteers and members, we ceased all activities in the middle of March, closed the shop on the 14th of March and closed Millbrook House from the 16th of March. Since then, working from home, we've had one key aim: to call our members and make sure you're safe and well. We gathered together as much information as we could, a challenge in itself, as it seemed to change on a daily basis, and we began to call everyone. We've been told some amazing stories by people and gathered lots of helpful hints on what we can do for you when things return to normal. It became clear to us very quickly that, as it had been a few years since we last conducted a members' survey, that was in 2017, now would be a good time to complete another one to ensure that we're meeting your needs and help plan our future activities. So, as we've been phoning members to check you're safe, have access to medication and food supplies, and give out information on all the help the Isle of Wight is offering, we've also started asking people to complete the short survey at the same time. If you haven't had a call yet, then you'll probably get one in the next couple of weeks. It may be from Laura, Sue, or Lisa, and we're also asking current volunteers to make calls on our behalf so we can contact as many people as quickly as possible. We also decided to expand the survey outside of current members to the whole Isle of Wight visually impaired community. You may find the survey posted on Facebook groups, websites, and advertised on local radio. The survey link is www.surveymonkey.co.uk/r/site for Wight. If you'd like a copy of the questions emailed to you or a large print version posted to you, please let us know. Braille copies will also be available once Millbrook House has reopened. The results of the survey will be reported back to members in due course. Most of us are now not actively working because we have to plan for the long-term future of the charity. Instead, we're furloughed workers, a phrase you may have heard, which means our employment is on hold. But the phone will still be answered and the remaining members of staff will continue to make calls. We very much look forward to things returning to normal and all is back at work. But until then, stay safe, stay at home. That's from the staff at Site for Wight.
This is Den Scott reading the Site for Wight newsletter. This is an article on diversity photo shoot by Ruth Hollinshead. One of my roles as a volunteer at Site for Wight involves being an administrator for the Site for Wight Facebook page. I also belong to several other online groups for blind and visually impaired people. These have thousands of members, both from the UK and worldwide, and I am always on the lookout for articles and information that I can share with you all on the island. These sites often include requests from university students who have to complete a disability module as part of their studies, and I have completed several interviews and surveys about my experience of living with sight loss. However, earlier this year, a certain post really caught my eye, if you get what I mean. A postgraduate photography student based at Solent University was looking for visually impaired people to take part in a photo shoot as part of her work. I thought it sounded fun, made contact with her, and arranged to travel across to the university studio with my trusty guide dog Flora. Fortunately, I was based at Solent University when I did my own degree a few years ago, so I knew where I was going. However, it wasn't until I got to the reception desk that it occurred to me, in my enthusiasm, I hadn't asked what sort of photos they would be. So it was with some trepidation and visions of huge naked images of me plastered all over the side of the Tate Modern that I went up to the studio. As it happened, Lisa turned out to be lovely. She was completing a piece on diversity and just wanted a simple head and shoulders shots of people from different minority groups. Phew. I was sat on a wooden stool with a plain backdrop, and hundreds of shots were taken, with Lisa telling me to look up, look left, tilt my head, so it was a bit like an eye examination. As usual, Flora was unimpressed by my antics and snored through the whole thing. In total, I was there for about an hour and had a very interesting time, but the lights she used were very hot and it was actually quite hard work. So, with that in mind, I have decided to put my career as a supermodel on hold for the moment.
This is an article from the Site for Wight newsletter read by Terry, and it is headed Eye Clinic Liaison Service at St Mary's Hospital. The past 4 years have flown by, and I have loved every second so far of being our local eye clinic liaison officer, known as ECLO, at St Mary's Hospital. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Laura Guljar, and I am an RNIB-funded ECLO based in the eye clinic at the hospital. My role is to provide emotional and practical support to anyone with any eye condition or sight loss, including their family, friends and carers. I came into the role because of my own experience of sight loss and because I wanted to ensure that anyone visiting the eye clinic could have access to information and advice. Since coming into the role, I have been delighted to become a Sight for Wight trustee. It's a real privilege to be able to support anyone affected by sight loss, and I am always keen to promote Sight for Wight to all patients at the clinic. I think many of us have experienced isolation as a result of sight loss, and to know that others have felt the same frustration, sadness and loss is so incredibly important. Quite often, sharing our feelings with others in a similar situation can make a world of difference, and joining groups and taking part in new activities can suddenly find us taking up hobbies we had never previously considered. My role as an ECLO is to signpost patients and their loved ones or carers to services which may benefit them. For example, Sight for Wight and our fantastic weekly talking newspaper. Popular RNIB services include IT support, counselling services, living with sight loss courses, employment and the legal rights team. I've learned over the years that so many services and concessions available to those with sight loss are well-kept secrets, and my role allows me to shout about these possibilities. I also play a part in the certification of patients who wish to have their sight loss registered as either sight impaired, SI, or severely sight impaired, SSI. The completion and issue of Certificate of Vision Impairments, CVI, can play a key part of the sight loss journey. I am always happy to discuss whether you may be eligible for a CVI or to explain more about the process. I am happy to answer any questions you may have, and you can contact me either by phone on 07885 210 891 or by email at laura.guljar, which is LAURA.GOOLJAR at rnib.org.uk.
This is Brian Amy reading an article from the Sight for Wight newsletter headed Message from the Chair of Trustees, Sue Bungie. I do hope you're all keeping well. All our lives have changed so much over the last few weeks, and we are having to get used to new routines and restrictions. At Sight for Wight, we're dedicated to putting in place new ways of supporting you. Millbrook House and our dress agency Dress for Less are now both closed. The trustees are meeting remotely via conference call facilities. The majority of staff have been furloughed, leaving a core to answer the telephone. This takes advantage of the government scheme and will save the charity money, especially important now as our fundraising schemes are on hold. The Talking News now has a different format put together by a small team of trustees working from home and Vectis Radio volunteers. You can access it on Vectis Radio 104.6 FM and on our website www.iwsb.org.uk. It is being updated on a regular basis. We are very grateful to the Isle of Wight Observer, OnTheWight and the Isle of Wight County Press for permission to use their articles. All of our new systems of communication have taken a considerable amount of time and research to set up, and I would like to sincerely thank all those involved. If you need to contact us, please telephone 522205. We are still in the process of contacting everyone to find out how we may best support you, listen to any concerns and signpost you if needed to the island agencies that can offer help. May I pass on the sincere thanks of myself and the trustees to our marvellous hard-working staff, our valued members and loyal supportive volunteers. Please do keep in touch. We all need to support each other in these difficult times. My best wishes to you all.
Sight for Wight would like to thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Talking News. We would also like to thank our volunteers for reading, and a particular thank you to the Isle of Wight County Press and OnTheWight. A special thank you must go to Vectis Radio, who has helped us get vital information to our members. Stay safe.